Hey everyone, this is Srinivas here and you are watching Tricks and Codes. In the last video, we have seen how to send the data to the application. Now today, we will see how can we retrieve the data from the database. So for that, let's remove this to-do task that which we have created and let's come to this get list method and we will try to return repo.get list here. So as we don't have this method in the repo class, we will try to create it in the repo class. So yeah, we have created this method. Now let's type the query string SQL is equal to select. I need to type capitals. So select star from the table name to dos. And we need to return JW template dot query. Here we need to pass two arguments. One is SQL, the one which you have queried it, and the other one is row mapper, not this one. Row mapper which we have created in the lambda function above. So yeah, I think that's it. Now we are good to start the application. As we all know, it may take some time. Let's wait for it. Yeah, application got started. I will just go to the postman and we will go to the previous tab, and here we will just try to send the request. See, we got the output which we have entered in the database. So that's awesome, right? Like everything is working as expected. But don't you think that every time writing a query to perform the database operations is tough? Since this is a small application, we can do it. But what if we want to build a big application where we need to perform a lot of database operations? Then the time writing all these lines of code will be difficult, right? So how can we handle this? It can be easily handled by the ORM framework. So now what is ORM framework? So basically ORM stands for object relational mapping. So what it can do, like when you say object relational mapping, it is basically interacts with the database using objects instead of writing SQL queries manually. So let's say if you don't know the SQL and you want to build a web application, then that time we can use this ORM framework to store the data in the database and also to perform the database operations. So let's see how it works. Let's say we have an object, like basically Java is an object oriented programming language, right? And everything in the Java world is an object. So what does an object contains? Object contains two things. One is behavior and the other thing is data. We can just get rid of this behavior, and for now we just concentrate on this data. So when I say data, let's say for example, our to-do management contains task ID, title, description and status, right? So we want to store these data in the database in the form of table. So so for that, what we basically do with this JDBC is we actually need to write manual query in the Java code. Let's say we need to write insert into, then we need to give the table name and then followed by values. And then we need to tell the JDBC template to update the table. So this is a quite long process, right, to perform all these operations. But here in the ORM framework, it will handle all these things. Like let's say it will handle table creation and also like naming the columns of the table, and as well as updating and retrieving the data from the database without writing a single query. So how it will do it? Is it a magician? Not of course. we actually need to tell ORM to do all these things. So how can we create a table of our class? Let's say our class name is to do task, and we can name the same name for our table as well. And if you want to change the name of the table also, we can do it. And at the same way, we can name the attributes of the class as the column names of the table as well. So with this, we can easily try to create a table. Okay, this is fine. With this, we can create this table, but how can we perform the CRUD operations? Like usually we used to perform in the repo layer only. So in the same way, we also perform the CRUD operations using ORM in the repo layer only. But this time it is different. We are actually using an interface which is extended by JPA repository. Again, what is JPA? JPA stands for Java Persistent API. And this JPA will help us doing all this stuff. But JPA will be implemented by Hibernate. So what is JPA and Hibernate are basically the ORM tools which are helping us in doing all these things. So now we will see how everything works. But to execute all these things, we need a dependency called Spring Data JPA. So how can we get it? We can get it from the Maven repository. So for that, let's go to browser and search for Maven repository and click on first link. Then search for Spring Data JPA. So it will take some time. Yeah, we got it. And here we need to select the second one, Spring Boot Starter Data JPA. And here I am selecting the version 3.4.3, which is exactly our Spring Boot version. And if you see here, we got the Maven dependency, which is with the same version. So let's try to copy this and let's go to our project and form.xml and remove this dependency of JDBC and let's paste this JPA dependency and try to reload our Maven. So yeah, now we can move to model package. And under that we need to go to do task class and I am writing @entity on top of this to do class. So what this @entity will do for us? So basically this @entity is actually responsible for creating a table in the database. Okay, that's fine. Is this enough to create a table in the database? No, right. Like we need to actually need the column names and also we need to have a primary key for particular column. So how can we do that? So for that we need to actually type @id on top of our first attribute of the class. Now this will handle assigning a primary key to the column id. Now I need to actually generate an auto increment value, right, for this id. So for that let's type @generated value and inside that I am just giving strategy as generation type dot identity. So this generation type identity is responsible to actually increment the value of the primary key. So now let's go and add an interface to the repository layer. So for that, let's search for interface. I think here it is, not there. We need to go to Java class and here we need to select interface and here I am naming the interface as to do repository. And this will extends JPA repository. So here for the JPA repository, we have two parameters. One is actually the class name which is to do task. And second one is the data type of the primary key value of the table. Like let's say int. It is giving some error. Let's change the type to integer. So okay, that's fine. And now we will give @repository annotation on top of this interface. So let's Spring know that this is an repository layer. So like let's try to start this application and let's just see whether the table has created in the database or not. Let's start it and let's wait for some time. Okay, the application has started. Now we will go to database and when I try to refresh, okay, I think it is not giving any table. Okay, I think I just got to remember that we need to add the JPA configurations. Let's go to application, where is application.properties, here it is. So let's open this and I'm adding JPA configurations, and let's type spring.jpa.hibernate.ddl hyphen auto is equal to update. So basically this will update the table, and actually we need to mention these JPA configurations along with the data source details. So now let's restart the application and let's wait for some time, and the application started. Now let's go to database, and if I refresh here, see, I was able to see the table in the table. That's great, right? That's awesome. Now let's try to see whether we have all the columns which we have added in the class or not. See, we got the all column names, but it is not in order, but that is fine. But we got all the column names, right? That which are exist in our class. So that's awesome. Now let's go to our project and let's go to service layer, and now let's try to remove this to do repo. Yeah, we have removed it. Now let's type private to do repository and I am giving @auto-void annotation on top of this to handle the dependency injection. And now in the get list method, let's go and let's try to fetch the data from the database. So for that, let's remove this and type repository dot. So here actually we don't have any method created in the interface, right? So how can this JPA knows to retrieve the data from the database? So basically we can retrieve all the data from the database using the method called find all. Like let's say repository dot find all. So this method is responsible to retrieve all the data from the database. Okay, that's fine. But we don't have any data in the database, right? So let's try to add the data in the database. So for that, let's go to this add task method and let's remove this and let's type repository.save, and we need to send the data like which we are getting from the user. So this save method will actually handle to update the table, like it will save the data in the database, and yeah, that's it. We are good to proceed to start the application. Let's restart the application. Let's wait. Okay, our application got started. Now let's go to Postman, and now first we will try to add the data in the database. Like I will try to add the same data in the database. Now let's go and send the request. So we got the output task added successfully. Now let's go for the another data. I am mentioning in the title as let's type homework, and in the description I am mentioning it as need to complete the homework, and the status I am moving it to true, and let's send the data. This is also added successfully. Now let's go to the previous tab and let's try to retrieve the data. See, we got the output which we have added just now. Let's go to the database as well, and let's try to run this command. Yeah. Okay, we got the output, like the same output which we have added to the database, right? That's awesome. That's really great. So yeah, that's it for the video, and we will try to see some other concepts in the next video. Until then, please like this video, share with your friends, and do subscribe to this channel.